Hello, this is Monica Reinagel, and you're listening to the Nutrition Diva podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Our show received support this week from Juice Beauty, a skincare and makeup line that really deserves its name. Their products are full of fruit juices and other plant extracts and free of potentially harmful ingredients. You could practically drink this stuff. But don't drink it, use it on your skin. I've been using their products for about a month now, and I really see a positive difference in my skin. Go to juicebeauty.com/diva and you'll get exclusive savings on your first order when you use the code DIVA20 at checkout. A recent survey conducted by the International Food Information Council found that 8 out of 10 consumers feels that there's too much conflicting advice about what foods they should eat or not eat, and many find that this conflicting information makes them doubt their food choices. Well, my goal in this podcast is to clear up some of that confusion and doubt by looking at the scientific evidence, but also by translating that into practical advice that can make the business of eating healthy just a little bit easier and help you feel more confident about your choices. This week, we're talking about sulfites in wine, a topic where there's a lot of confusing and inaccurate information swirling around. If drinking red wine gives you a headache, you've probably had somebody tell you that sulfites are the likely culprit. And maybe you've been advised to stick with white wine or organic wines or wines made in Europe on the grounds that these will be lower in sulfites. Let's clear up some of the most common myths and misunderstandings about sulfites, wine, and headaches. First, just a little background. Sulfur dioxide, or SO2, is a chemical compound made up of sulfur and oxygen. It occurs naturally, but it can also be produced in a laboratory. And it's used to preserve foods and beverages, which it does by acting as an antioxidant and an antimicrobial. Sulfur dioxide has been used in winemaking for thousands of years, ever since the ancient Romans discovered, sort of by accident, that it would keep their wine from turning into vinegar. To this day, winemakers use sulfur dioxide, or sulfites, to preserve the flavor and freshness of wine. By law, wines that contain more than 10 ppm, that stands for parts per million, sulfite, must be labeled with the words contains sulfites on the label. And there are also some upper limits on just how much sulfite a wine can contain, but the regulations vary by region. In the European Union, wine can contain up to 210 parts per million sulfites. In the US, the upper limit is 350 parts per million. So the first myth I'd like to clear up is that organic or biodynamic wines are sulfite-free. Now, in order to be certified organic, a wine must not contain added sulfites. However, sulfites are produced naturally during the fermentation process. They're a byproduct of yeast metabolism. So even though no sulfites are added, organic wine can contain between 10 and 40 parts per million sulfites. You might also see wines labeled as being made from organic grapes, and that is not the same as being organic wine. It's a little bit of a labeling loophole. Wine made from organic grapes may contain added sulfites, and it can contain up to 100 parts per million sulfites. So if you do get a hold of some wine that's made without any added sulfites, I don't suggest keeping it in the cellar very long. Wine made without sulfites, especially white wine, is much more prone to oxidation and spoilage. The second myth about sulfites and wine is that red wine is higher in sulfites than white wine. Ironically, the exact opposite is likely to be true. Red wines tend to be higher in tannins than white wines. Tannins are polyphenols that are found in the skins, seeds, and stems of grapes, and they also act as antioxidants and preservatives. So when there's a lot of tannin in wine, you need less sulfite. In fact, while the European regulations allow up to 210 parts per million sulfites in white wine, the limit for red wine is lower. It's only 160 parts per million. Other factors that affect how much sulfite a winemaker might need to add is the residual sugar and the acidity of the wine. So drier wines that have more acid will tend to be lower in sulfites. Sweet wines and dessert wines, on the other hand, tend to be quite high in sulfites. Support for today's show comes from Third Love. Armed with the measurements of millions of real women, Third Love bras are designed to fit real women. With 60 sizes ranging from AA through G, including half-cup sizing, Third Love guarantees a perfect fit, straps that won't slip, a smooth line under your clothes, and no tags to irritate your skin. With their easy-to-navigate site and speedy shipping, you can take your time while shopping. And with the huge variety in their product line, you are sure to find a bra that you feel confident and comfortable in. Plus, returns and exchanges are always free and easy. Third Love knows there's a perfect bra for every body, so right now they are offering my listeners 15% off your first order. Go to thirdlove.com/diva to find your perfect fitting bra. That's thirdlove.com/diva for 15% off today. Our third myth today is that sulfites in wine cause headaches. Now, the so-called red wine headache is definitely a real thing, but it's probably not due to sulfites. For one thing, white wine is usually higher in sulfites than red wine, but white wine's a lot less likely to cause headaches. That suggests that it's probably something else in red wine that's responsible for that notorious red wine headache. And other likely candidates include histamines, tyramine, tannins, not to mention the alcohol itself. And I have some other episodes that might interest you. One is on histamine intolerance, and the other is on foods that trigger headaches. And you'll find both of those in our archives, which are at nutritiondiva.quickanddirtytips.com. And I've also included links to them in the transcript for today's show, which you'll find at the same address. So let's talk just a little bit about where sulfites are found in our foods and why this matters. A small percentage of the population, about 1%, are sensitive to sulfites. Most of them are asthma sufferers. And the reactions can include swelling, hives, asthma, and migraines. If you have a sulfite sensitivity, you probably do want to avoid wine, but you're also going to want to steer clear of soda, candy, prepared soups, frozen juices, processed meats, potato chips, French fries, and dried fruit, all of which contain much higher concentrations of sulfites than wine. If you don't have a sulfite sensitivity, there appears to be little reason to fear sulfites in otherwise healthy foods. For example, you don't have to settle for dried apricots that are tough and brown if you prefer the kind that are soft and orange. I hope that clears up some of the myths and misunderstandings about sulfites, wine, and headaches. Next time you hear someone say that they only drink white wine because the sulfites in red wine give them a headache, you'll have some facts to share with them. If you have a nutrition question or conundrum, I'd love to tackle it in a future podcast episode. You can send me an email at nutrition@quickanddirtytips.com or post it on the Nutrition Diva Facebook page, where we discuss each week's episode along with the day's nutrition news and whatever other nutrition-related topics are on your mind. I'd love to connect with you there. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.